Now, let me ask you this. Let me go back to something you said, because you said the Wizards, and I'm sure a lot of people heard this, but then we just kind of skipped past it. The Wizards did not suspend you after the gun incident.
No, I did not get suspended for guns in the locker room.
You got suspended when it was before the game, and you was doing like this, and what they perceived as you embarrassed the organization. Break that down, because that happened to me as well. But break that down as to how important that is to an organization when they feel that a player has embarrassed them.
So it wasn't. You got to remember, at this time, you got it's global now, right? But in charges that involved guns, Telfair got 3 games for having a gun on the bus.
Okay,
that's NBA property. He got 3 games for having a loaded gun on an airplane, NBA property, right? Steven Jackson shot his gun outside of a club, right? In the middle of a fight. That's 7 games. Well, unloaded guns in the locker room, the most that they could have gave me was 1 game. And the reason was, I said I brung them. I didn't even say I brung them. I said those were my guns. No one ever seen me touch them. No one ever seen me bring them in. No fingerprints on them. I just acknowledged that those were mine. Right. So what are you suspending me for? But they made it so big that saying, oh, he's suspended for 1 game would have been like, wait, what? So you got to remember, I have to go through the legal process anyway before you can suspend me. So that means I'm going to finish that season. But because I was not backing down from the media and I was mocking the situation, I wasn't taking the situation seriously. There's like, okay, mentally, he's not stable enough to be on this court. So we're going to suspend him for the rest of the season. So that's where they use detrimental to the team. So this is detrimental to the team environment. So that's how they removed me out of the equation. So basically, if I was going to be suspended for guns, it would have been the next season.
Okay, got you.
Because after the season, I went through the process. I just got a halfway house because you got at the end of the day, I didn't touch anything. I didn't do anything. I just acknowledged those were mine. So by the time the legal process finished, I'm like, why is he not in jail? Because the only thing I did was say they were mine. I never said I broke them, never said I touched them, never did any of that. No fingerprint, there's none of that. I just said those were mine. So when the legal process was over with, it was like, yeah, so what are you going to suspend me for? Because I needed to get suspended for them to get off my contract. That was really the real big issue. Was once Stern penalized me, the Wizards couldn't penalize me. So you can't get penalized twice for the same thing.
Okay. Double jeopardy.
Yeah, you couldn't. They couldn't. So the league couldn't suspend me, and then the Wizards come back and suspend me. So it was one of those things where, like, the person who got the raw end of the deal was probably Javaris.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, I'm getting suspended for detrimental because of my actions. He didn't do anything. He didn't have any actions.
Right.
So he could have finished the season, and then after everything over, get a 1 or 2 game suspension next season. But because it was so big, once they suspended him for 50 games, they just added him with me.
But the only reason why they suspended the 50 games was not because of the actual gun incident or bring the guns into the locker room, which is what happened. Because people still to this day still tell stories that I heard this story just the other day where they were like, you and Javaris was like back to back, and you took a couple paces. Then I was like, wait a minute, where the devil did you hear that?
But that's how it was portrayed. So you got to remember. Well, if you're watching TV at 9 o'clock and something is shown at 9 o'clock, that's what you have. If your wife sees something at 12 o'clock, that's the image she has. So when you guys have a conversation, you're both right, but you're both wrong to each other. So once the information that's how it was. That's the perception of it. So
but the Wizards was still supporting you until they felt that you were making a mockery of it, and that it's to me. Now you tell me if I'm wrong, but Ernie Grunfeld let you do whatever you want to do. Let's be honest. All right, you do whatever you want to do, right? That's your guy, right? But in that part, after that, because remember they even find some guys that was in the circle
that was laughing.
I was like, wait, they have nothing to do with it. They're like, no, they shouldn't have been laughing, and it was all because of the visual image of you, and they felt that embarrassed. So what I'm making the equating to is that the 76ers felt that Ben Simmons embarrassed them. So now they have to figure out something to bring the hammer down to show that they're not going to be embarrassed.
Yeah, they have to show that they're in control of this situation. Like
that's what teams do.
Yes, I was really bitter. Like, no. That's the reason. Like, I really kind of retired a little, early. I was kind of bitter. I was hurt. Like, man, I've done 99 things, right, one thing wrong, and you guys turned on me, like I was nothing. Fans, like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing like this article where like they had a percentage of if I'm going to like mess up my what's it called? Probation.
Oh.
Like probation. So like it was like if I messed it, I had 2-year probation. If I got in trouble, I was gonna have to do 3 years in jail. Right? That was hovering over my head. It was like 80-something% said that I'm gonna mess up. I'm like, this is not this is real world. This is real world. Right. The little antics I do inside the arena has nothing to do with this real life. My real life, I don't go nowhere. I don't drink. I don't go out in public. Like, I don't do this. So, like, but just the fact that it said 80-something% irritated me. Yeah. Right? It irritated me to the point where I just didn't want to be around people. Like, when I retired, I didn't watch basketball for a long time. Like, I really didn't like just everything about the sport. And then I had to sit back. And put myself inside Ernie's shoes, because what happened is they were doing an article about Ernie Grunfeld. Okay. I guess he just got fired, and they were doing an article on it. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to talk to me about it. Okay. And I so I said, give me a week just to think. Just give me a week before I do the article. Mm-hmm. So I had to sit back and then like put myself in Ernie's shoes. And realize my actions forced them to do the things they had to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not like they just went out of the blue and said, oh, no, Gil, we're going to take you. The actions that I did put them against the wall, and they had to think about the business. They had to think about the rest of the players. They had to think about moving forward. So once I understood that, when I did that interview, I couldn't bash nothing about Ernie. Mm. And I told the lady, from my standpoint, looking at all the moves Ernie's ever done, I can't say that he made too many mistakes. Mm. When I messed up, he got rid of my contract. He got Karan's contract out of there. He got Antoine's contract out of there, left money on the table for Ted Leonis. He did everything that he was supposed to do with the cards he was dealt. Mm. Okay. I can't say anything bad. I can't say anything bad. If you'd asked me like 3 years ago, woo!
Right. You'd have some venom, huh?
You'd have some venom, baby.
It's interesting because I kind of have a similar story, and I don't even know if you know all of this. So, the last time me and Brendan got into it, right? And we've talked since then. I went on his show, The Opinionated 7-Footers, so we squashed everything. But the last time we got into it, and I'll tell you the story since we tell the stories here. Yeah. But no, it's like, so I was coming down, right? And you weren't at a practice. You was like boycotting practice or something you was doing. I don't know why you was upstairs, but you wasn't in the practice, right? So so we were having a play, right? And he shot me an elbow. Okay. And I've been playing against Brendan for the longest. I know how he plays. Hey, we know each other's moves, everything like that. We know when, like, sometimes I clip him, I'll be like, "Oh man, you good?" So now he clipped me. Dang, you all right? We know each other, right?
Yeah.
And I also know when he is not happy about something, he kind of acts out. I've seen it before. You know what I mean? Like I saw him, and I don't know, was you here when him and Leitner almost got into it? Was you there? I don't know if you was there then. That might have been before you got there. But Leitner had just won the starting position, and they was in practice, and Brendan kind of tried to do a little something to him, and Leitner took the ball and threw it at him, and they were this close. Now, I was the one who got in between them and broke it up. But literally, but it was the same kind of thing of he was upset and kind of acting out, right? So even before that, before he was there with MJ, MJ had a situation. He tried to set a hard pick on MJ, and MJ said, "I'll knock your head." Like, MJ got pissed. He threw the ball at him, and everybody was like looking, you know what I mean? But me and Brendan was cool. I actually hit him afterwards, like, "Are you all right, man? That was kind of a messed up position for you to be in." But so after this time, we he threw me, shot me the elbow. I'm going back, towards it. Everybody's running back down the court. I'm going back, right? And he kind of meets me, and I mush him, right? And so he swung, and Brendan's arms is long, so he kind of clipped me, right? So I backed up, and I pivoted and looked at him, and I you know what I'm saying? I was angry. So I turned, I was about to charge him, and Coach Jordan jumped up in front of us like this, right? Like, he was like this way, jumped in front of me, and was like, "Hey, you can't do this. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let you do it." And they kicked me out of practice, right? So, but check this out. So Ernie Grunfeld talks to me, says, "Listen, I'm not really worried about all this. Okay, go home, cool off, and come back, and we'll go back to practice the next day." I was like, "All right, cool, fine, all right." And then I was taking a little long time. I was in there talking with you, and he was like, "Hey, now I told you to leave." I was like, "All right, Ernie." Remember that? I was like, "All right, Ernie, I'm leaving today." Right? So later that night, I don't know if it was that night or the next day or whatever, a reporter came to me, right? He said, "Hey, I heard what happened with you and Brendan. And I know that you weren't happy about the way that it was reported the last time y'all got into it. Because remember, they said he slammed me. Brendan ain't picking nobody up and slamming nobody. And then they left out the main part where he, we were squared up after I hit him, and he grabbed my lock so I wouldn't hit him again. They left all that part out. But I was like, so I was like, okay, well, yeah, no. So let me tell my story so you get it straight. That was he got me then. So I told the story. Okay. Later on, I get a call from Abe Poland. When I tell you Abe Poland was pissed, Abe Poland was pissed. Right, because we usually hear Abe Poland, kind of quiet, something like that. But Abe Poland was pissed, and he was like, "You should have never said anything to the media." He had like a in his voice. He was like, "You embarrassed the organization, and you embarrassed me." I was like, wow, he's taking this real personal. You know what I mean? But he was serious. He's like, "So I'm suspending you for 2 days, 2 games for conduct detrimental to the team. And don't you ever embarrass me again." And he slammed the phone on you could, it was like you could hear it. It was like bam, bam, bam. I was like, dang. So I knew at that point it wasn't about us getting into it. It wasn't about us getting into it, and that was the 3rd time we got into it. Because before that, Brendan had, told Ernie Grunfeld, and I know this because they told me that he said, I don't, feel safe. I don't, I'm fear for my life. You need to suspend this guy. And then Billy Hunter, I was in the union. So he said his agent called him and said, "Hey, my client doesn't feel safe. Can you help get, him suspended so he can figure?" It's like, "Well, no, I'm not gonna. He hasn't done anything before. It's like his first offense." So, but they didn't care about any of that. It was just because I embarrassed the organization. And I had nothing, so they suspended me, didn't suspend him. They said conduct detrimental to the team, and that was it. There was nothing I could say, nothing I could do, nothing I could appeal. I just had to take it, and it was just I was suspended. But I tell that story because, like your situation and my situation, And Ben Simmons' situation, once an organization feels that a player embarrassed him, they are going to try to embarrass that player and re-put the hammer down.